Welcome. We're a little bit late, but welcome to another UpLift update. Please like and share this out. We're gonna, hang out. We're gonna discuss, what's going on in the metaverse, what's going on in the Uplifters channel, what's going on in the blockchain and crypto space. It's been a while since Corey and I have hung on a Thursday.
Right.
And
here's something crazy. Russia is legally recognizing Bitcoin now.
Yeah, so I read that, and then I read that it was like maybe not true, and so I don't know. I was kind of like,
I think it might be true. I haven't dug. If somebody wants to contradict this, by all means, let us know. Because it was 2 weeks ago they were going to ban all crypto and blah blah blah. And, the thing that's interesting, obviously they're doing a lot of saber rattling around the Ukraine, which is irritating, and they should just fucking stop being dicks. That's my geopolitical take for the day. But apparently the U.S. is going to apply sanctions via SWIFT, right? Via the money interchange system, and of course, the way to get around that is Bitcoin. Right? So like suddenly it's a way for them to dodge those sanctions so that companies that are in Russia can still move capital all over the place. I'm not a huge fan of that because war sucks. But it's interesting that it's now gone from like, oh, Bitcoin's like this thing that might work and might not or whatever, to it being a central player in the geopolitical fights of two superpowers. Not that Russia's really superpower anymore, but they're not small,
right? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they've got the balls of a superpower still. I mean, I remember, when they parked their fleet, basically in the way of somewhere. I think it was in the Red Sea, maybe, to prevent the Americans from going in somewhere, and the Americans kind of backed down. So I mean, it's kind of nice to see, even though if there was a full out war, it probably wouldn't be pretty, but I just think that, it's tough, right? Like, because I'm definitely not pro Russia, but I'm not pro America either. So it's kind of hard to like talk about these types of things. And we've noticed this a lot recently too, like even this channel and what we've been talking about.
I mean, he's got a new baby. It's just it's a thing. Sometimes you're talking about geopolitical strife, and sometimes the baby has an opinion. I mean, this is just the way this goes.
Right? Yeah, he's super upset. But like we're talking about like freedom of the freedom of so many things, right? And the power of like decentralized finance and things like this, to be able to control our own money and to be able to do our own things. And I mean, a lot of this kind of plays right into that perfectly. I mean, if we look at what happened with the whole Block One EOS thing, and the issues of that corporation, and now we look at like Dan's goals of what he's trying to achieve, and all of the people that are actually coming out of Block One that used to work with Dan and like now back in the community and excited because they get to press this like kind of governance, social freedom, passive thing over.
Yeah.
Which is really exciting. But then, you look at other things that are happening, in the world, and how blockchain could be, positive or negative, depending upon, who's in control of it. It's really difficult, right? Like you've got New York, for example, who's basically, anyone who's regulated there is probably paying a shit ton to the people who own the system, and nobody can get regulated because it's such a difficult thing to do. And you've got, I guess, Wyoming, where everything's just basically free, like you and Austin Linney were talking about that last night, right? Like,
yep.
The really interesting thing about the states is it's so big and it's state by state. Now, when you look at other countries like Russia and what they're doing, like they're doing some really bad shit, but they're not entirely evil, right? Like, I mean, China does some really bad shit too, but they're not entirely evil, and that's my problem with all of this.
I think that's an important note actually for everybody to understand. Certainly, I think almost impossible for the average American to understand that because they think that this country has always walked on water. It has not, nor does it now, frankly. The ideals around it are brilliant, right, and have produced amazing things. But there's just as much shit under the rug over here as there is in a lot of other places. And yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense to consider what a country like Russia or a country like China is doing from a position that, from their perspective, it's rational. Right now, Russia, I think you can do that a little bit less so because they're a little bit cheeky, but like rational in perspective in what sense, right? So, an ex superpower, there's clearly a lot of ego involved. They basically have a Tsar, who's a personality unto himself. Like they've had a Trump who actually got control for a long time, although he's infinitely more intelligent than Trump. Not that the bar is set very high, but but it's still like, even with all of that stuff, there's a lot of, you can apply rational actor status to it, in some ways. Not that that's like super helpful sometimes when they're talking about straight up bombing people. Anyway, I don't know how the fuck we got onto this stuff, but it is what it is. They're legalizing Bitcoin is the point.
It's okay. Like, I think, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get myself in trouble here, but like in a way, like I'm all for Plato, and his republic and his idea that like finance and government should be separated, right? And I think maybe if we ever get through this, because we're kind of in this kind of socialist shitstorm right now, I think of the transitionary period. Marx, when he talked about anarchy, or sorry, Weber, when he talked about anarchy, like pure anarchy, the unadulterated anarchy, or Marx when he talked about proper proper communism. Basically we fell short because we got tied up in what became the socialist power states that kind of kicked off the Second World War. Not so different from like the imperialist states like that were part of the First World War, right? And so like right now we're in this kind of power struggle where cryptocurrency can't really exist, and even when it does exist, when it's paired with governments, then it's still kind of controlled, and it's problematic, because if we could just get over that, right? Like the ideology is there, but there's no way to get there, right? Like when you have governments that are banning it or controlling it or putting people in prison. I mean, India is one of the worst, right? Like I don't even think you can do anything in India, and they're supposed to be like a free market economy, right? But it's like basically protectionism. You've got governments that are looking at central bank digital currencies now, right? And they're based on the principles of blockchain. They are.
They're trying to end run the momentum they're seeing, or it could be a defensive action too, right? I think if they do have any smart people working there, the idea that they're talking about it suggests that they do, right? What they're admitting with that is that we can't stop this, which is actually true and deeply fascinating, right? Our dear friend over at Legend, the CFO, is constantly talking about the fact that they're always going to be able to control the on and off ramps, which, like, if they could at all, they would have done it already, and they can't, right? Which is really interesting. They're trying to, right? Like, they've got the IRS gets all the data on Coinbase and yada yada, but nobody really cares, right? Like, if we're going to bring it back to money, like, we'll pay taxes on it. Fuck you, I don't care. It doesn't matter, right? And so that cat is firmly out of the bag. And now they're like, well, maybe we need to kind of have our own, right? And if they make their own and they make it super convenient, then it could be the on and off ramp where, yes, they'll have control, yes, they'll have pure visibility on it, but they kind of do anyway, right? So like, it doesn't really matter. It just makes it more simple for them to manage taxation or whatever. It's it's sort of an admission of defeat in a lot of ways, right? Which I find deeply fascinating, assuming they could even get it to work, which is, not a foregone conclusion.
Well, and what we, I think the problem that we have too is like a lot of early adopters are all about, freedom, right? And a lot of, governments are probably fighting to not lose control of the system that they control. And
that much vested interest, they'd have to, right? Like it would be deeply irrational if they didn't.
Right. And a lot of people are like, oh, we'll never pay taxes again. Like, that's great, Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, if you're walking on the sidewalk to go and buy some milk, then just fucking pay some taxes, right? Like, I get it. I get that maybe we should designate where our taxes go and stuff like that. But it's like these people who get angry at a project because, the coin value doesn't go up in crypto. It's the same type of people, I think, that don't want to pay taxes. It's like, if you're driving on the roads, then pay some taxes, right? Like you shouldn't be getting everything for free, and where does that come from, right? Like, and there's a disconnect, I think, in the education system on that, and it's like we've got these ideas that like we should get everything for free, but like we don't really put where that comes from, right? And so for me, it's weird because now we're in this kind of not so Wild West place, but still a Wild West place where like there's a lot of big businesses, I think, that are coming in intentionally breaking rules because they know they can get away with it. And that's not like many like big businesses, but we're starting to see this with a few things, right, that are happening. And then we've got a lot of big money players because of the anonymity. They can actually do proper rug pulls, right? They can just like that Ethereum project that sold all the Minecraft lands and then they just disappeared, right? Like the Bit Connect is another great example back from the last one, right? Like,
yeah, it's you see the Bored Ape guys got doxxed. I didn't even know they weren't, for the record, but apparently the two guys that started Bored Apes got doxxed.
Why?
Now here, like, everybody knows who we are, right? It's like, hi, uplifting, a bunch of other stuff, right? It's just like it's weird to me, and I get it, right? Because like there's enough, kind of ambiguity in what we're clearly moving into the gray area of new technologies and new ways of doing business, and a lot of people suggest that old school rules apply and a bunch of other people say they don't, and we're all just kind of going into the gap or whatever, right? I was talking about the cannabis industry yesterday with Austin. Is really similar, but I think this one has a chance to go a lot better. At the end of the day, like, I don't know, everybody just has to get in and build something of value, and when confronted with challenges, do the right thing.
Yeah, and I think it's important to understand that like there are a lot of us out there that have become quite vulnerable in a way, right? Like we do put our faces out there. We do. I mean, we do try to press the boundaries, but we also try to better the world in what we're doing and not break the rules and not fuck other people over, right? Like
that's the goal, right? Like that's like one of the reasons we had the opportunity to go overseas in this new iteration, and part of the decision to boot up the Wyoming DAO, which we're getting that started this week for the UpLift, is that we actually we want to be working, like, we've been a United States company, a lot of us are in the United States, not all of us, like I'd say like maybe a third of the team, if that now. Anyway, we want to actually be part of a future that is all above board and is just the way that it's just this new awesome way of doing business, right? And be an example for that. And so that's going to be its own set of challenges, but worth it.
I mean, and the problem, I think, in my mind, the biggest problem with the U.S. what's ridiculous about it, right? Like the biggest problem with the U.S., honestly, is that they're just so freaking slow, right? Like they're complaining that all of this bad stuff is happening. It's like, well, if you call your tax office and you ask them how to pay taxes on your crypto, they don't freaking know. Nobody knows. Like there's no guidelines for it. There's nothing for it. I mean, if you look at some of these other countries, I mean, Estonia, I think, where's Binance is over on.
It's Malta, right?
Yeah, they're Malta. Sorry, I always get Malta and Cyprus confused. They're Malta. I mean, Portugal's got their thing going on. I mean, even Australia's got some pretty good regulations around, what they're accepting, but it's just not put out there openly in the States, and it becomes very problematic because, nobody really knows what's happening. But if you look at Wyoming, I think there's a couple other states as well that like Florida's, I think, better, or Miami at least. There are regulations around it, and they are clear and decisive, and you can go and you can get the information that you need if you live in those areas, right?
Right.
New York is just, well, no, you can't do anything.
Yeah. Weird. The home of Wall Street is like, no.
Right. And it's like, yeah. But I think in time things will, suss themselves out better. And that was a great conversation. If you guys missed it, I was hanging out in the comments. I had a lot of fun hanging out in the comments yesterday for that Austin Linney thing. I'm going to be in and out. Hopefully more in than out. That's definitely what she said. But yeah, it's Corey and I are going to shake things up a little bit. I think we're going to have to, because I'm planning a move. We're planning on some other new ideas. Like, there's a lot actually going on. Like, we're all kind of busy. Obviously, we all work together on the UpLift, but a bunch of us are working on other projects as well and involved in other projects. I mean, you can see the team and who's there and all the amazing things that they've done, right? Like, I mean, there's been some problems. There's some things that we're trying to fix. It's great that, the rewards pool is back. It's great that we're going to be able to give some profit share to the people who have invested in us. It's amazing to actually go and see the builds and the people that have been doing some of these things. Speaking of which, we should totally, show,
oh yeah,
some stuff off, because I think that's really. I mean, let's go with done.
I hadn't seen that one yet.
It's really good. Yeah, class art is quite interesting, and the things that he does is really good. And a lot of these artists are. There's some other built ones that are coming out soon too. But like the people who are in the world that are actually putting these things together, it's quite amazing. And you know what I won an auction for today?
What's that?
The tunnel that is in our Uplifters Tower. That NFT now belongs to me, which I'm pretty stoked about.
Nice. He's good. He's good.
Yeah, right. That's really good. So we should probably do some gratitudes, actually.
Yes. Let me get rid of some stuff and then put a game up, and we can do that. We got 8 people watching this morning. Welcome to the morning show. I'd love to put some gratitudes up. If you could make them short, they got to fit on a little Minecraft sign, but would love to put some gratitudes up for all of you who are here watching with us this morning. Hey, can we watch another video while I pull this up?
Sure. Let's
Awesome.
go with. Let's go with this one. We just released a post on this, I guess, yesterday. And they've got a bunch of different plots that are doing a bunch of really cool, interesting things and collabs with other artists. This was maybe one of the first ones that's very groundbreaking, doing amazing, interesting things. But this is the premier gallery that they built. The Rocket Gallery, Swedish Gold, if you're not following, doing some really cool things with cubes and art, and quite a few posts. I think that the last one that we kind of featured on the where we had all the alpha.com is really cool. Definitely go check that out and read it. He talks about the hand under the Rubik Cube with the blocky robots things. That blocky robots thing is insane, really. I mean,
yeah, it's fun, right? That's really cool. Anyway, so I know all you guys know, but we've been doing a bunch of huddles. This is actually where we do our gratitude for the team when we do those meetings, and all the way down to bedrock. This entire building is full of them, which never stops warming my heart, frankly. All right. I mean, if you're going to be grateful for anything, hoodies makes as much sense as anything else. All right. For real, thanks, Mello. Definitely throw up some gratitudes, everybody, if you want to. Jimmy, what are you grateful for this morning?
It's funny because I'm actually grateful for being out of my element. I'm being forced right now to restructure my life in very grand ways, actually, which is really quite interesting. You know, like my son, he just turned 1 month. My daughter's a toddler. I mean, we're trying to do this whole thing here with the UpLift. Like, I don't think I've said no to this many jobs ever, it's really interesting. And then to be, you know, bringing this community to another level, a community that we worked so hard to build over the last 8 months, and not really knowing where we're going, but like having a pretty good idea that pretty much eventually we're going to figure it out and it's going to be good for everyone, is really exciting. On top of, you know, moving, doing other jobs, working for other companies, which both Corey and I do, and a lot of people on the team do. Like, we work for multiple companies, and we're not all connected to every one of them, right? And so I think, you know, one of the things that Corey and I kind of talked about recently is just like knowing your limits, and we kind of came up against our limits, maybe almost at the same time, and we've had to kind of, you know, walk away from certain things and delegate things to other people and let them do it, right? I know Marty Bullshipples is doing a great job over there with Blue Deck, with some of the people that are working on that. Like, our team's like head down trying to do this. Like, I know over at Crypto Writer, like, they're restructuring all of their stuff, you know, which Corey and I are really excited about to be a part of. Like, but just having to organize and figure out the people that are important and the ones that we still want to surround ourselves with is really.
Yeah. It really, and I remember, a few weeks ago, a few people, like, when, and again, like, at the risk of getting into the details, like, obviously, like, what's going on right now wasn't carefully planned, but because it wasn't, it ended up being a massive opportunity. And people right at the beginning, while I'm like kind of still pulling my hair out, even I, at the core of my being, understood, like, this is the moment that I had actually asked for. Didn't think it would show up like this, but and people were saying that, like, you're gonna look back at this 3 months from now and you'll realize that it just had to happen this way. And that, I tend to not subscribe to the woo, but I think that is actually right. And the when everything gets tossed up in the air, like, that challenge is it's such an opportunity for everybody to level up, right? It's also, like, legitimately an opportunity for everything to absolutely categorically fucking fail. And the team and I just refuse to not let that happen. We're just like, that's not going to be how this ends. And so far that's working really well. Or as well as can be expected. And something Bullshit actually said to me like a month ago, before all this UpLift craziness, was that I should just start asking people for help. He's like, I'm trying to do too many things, and there's so many people that want to help. Why don't you just ask people for help? And then the universe literally just, like, flips the boat over. It's like, you can either start asking for help now, or you will lose your mind and start hiding under your desk. So all this stuff is an opportunity for for lessons and for leveling up. Is kind of where I'm landing on it.
I mean, I'm in a little bit of a similar boat, but I'm actually, I don't know, maybe we're the same. Maybe we just categorize it differently. But, like, oftentimes I refuse help, to be honest, even if it's offered, right? Because, I don't know, kind of what we were taught as young lads running around in the frozen north. But it's like we live in this weird space where, again, like, there's so many people out there that are amazing, and there's so many, well, not equally, but there's so many people out there that are amazing, and there's so many people out there that, like, are just there to cause shit. And then there's every kind of factor in between. And it's always interesting to see that, a lot of people, especially in the space that we live in, they, again, back to this, they don't put their face on anything. Right. And you've got, like, people bashing Vitalik Buterin, right? Like, because, Ethereum sucks. You've got people, yelling.
Yeah, Ethereum sucks. It's going to flip Bitcoin. And don't get me wrong. I'll be the first one to criticize Ethereum, and I always have. But, like, right. You cannot objectively say that it sucks. It's going to flip Bitcoin. We could be mad at some of the things because it doesn't work for what we're doing. That's great. We have wax, right? But, like, the fact that the fees are so high, like, there is seriously an argument to be made that that's why it works. It's really uncomfortable. Yeah. No one likes to think about it, but every single sell decision comes with do you want to pay the $25 to $500 fee to make this happen, right? And so people don't sell. And every time they do sell, it burns Ethereum, right? So, like, anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but, like, yeah,
no. Like,
Vitalik's totally the face of that, right? But right. I'm never gonna be that smart. Like, that's just a fact. That guy's like alien level smart. But I love how thoughtful he is in looking at all these things, because, of course, he's a robot, from a really analytical point of view, right? And being able to describe them that way, like that, I respect that a lot. Anyway, Jimmy, I'm totally changing the subject, kind of, but
no, it's totally cool. But, like, it's not like the real world in a way, right? Like, there's a lot of people that, like, are hidden, right? Like, anyone in the real world that's doing business is out there, their face is on it, right? They're held accountable, and most of the time things are awesome, but sometimes a bunch of your spaceships get taken out by random asteroids, and you got to deal with it, right? Like, you're the face of, you're the face of that, right? And so we live in this weird kind of thing where everyone, like more so than ever, everyone has an opinion, and most opinions are faceless, which is really weird to think about that.
Yeah, it's really easy to have opinions. It's not very easy to build stuff. It's definitely not easy to in collaborations when things get to steal Mello's word spicy like that, that it burns me that I can't just let everybody know everything at all times. I'm not the only party. The UpLift team isn't the only party. Other considerations need to be made so that we can actually create a solution that is good for the people that are actually building in the UpLift and good for the UpLift team. Those are my two priorities.
Well, and even sorry, go ahead.
No, and so that's just the case, right? But like, I'm sympathetic often, maybe not often enough, to where some people land in this space where like trust is hard sometimes, rug pulls happen. Where there's this knee-jerk reaction to automatically assume the worst, especially when we can't fill in all the accurate information that would let people know that I personally think that at every single point in this, I've made the best possible decision, again, for the people that are building in the UpLift and for the UpLift team, in that order, right? And people can argue with it, but I'm the only one with all the well, obviously the UpLift team knows everything too, but like that, like we can't really get into it, and I get how that's uncomfortable for some people. And there's really nothing we could do about that except to outwork it, frankly, which is what we're gonna do. Like that, all this stuff 3 months from now, I don't think people are going to be spending a whole lot of time thinking about this stuff because revenue sharing will have started in the UpLift and people will be losing their goddamn minds about the DAO token. That's my personal guess. And who knows? We'll find out.
Well, and for me, it's weird because like sometimes I can't even keep up, right? Like I don't know what's going on. Like try keeping up to EOS, but like the UpLift is, my job here is to try to tour around and highlight great builds, and like I fall behind all the time.
Can we do? I was thinking about this before we got started. Can we just walk through just all the articles?
Yeah, let's do that.
Because like,
sure.
Holy shit!
Topic, right?
Yeah, right. All right. So if anyone else has gratitudes, I'll leave the game up. We can go back in and do some gratitudes. I threw mine. Jimmy, I did yours, right? Yes, I did.
Yeah, you did mine. Yeah.
All right,
but I think like. Yeah, I mean, there's like, I just want people to know that like, it's funny because like you're actually nicer than me behind closed doors, which is crazy because like I'm actually not that nice. Like I'm pretty nice, but like I'm kind of a dick too, right? Like
you're not.
But like Corey really is like he's one of the nicest people I've ever met, and it's tough, right? Like you have to navigate things in a way that doesn't drive you crazy, and I think too for me it's like honestly, like I have a shit memory, like I can't remember stuff, right? And so like sometimes though, like most of the time it's good, but like there are times when we're in team meetings and none of us agree, right? like there are times in our team channel where it's like, Corey will say, no, that's ridiculous, that's not happening, and 5 minutes later he's like, oh yeah, okay, I'm sorry, I get it. There's five different people who are telling him different, or me, right, or Tuttle, or any of us, right? Like there's such a, and I think we have a good process too. I mean that, right?
Like one of the things that like, because Tuttle and I usually agree, and where we don't, our instantaneous response is to be very curious about that because we usually agree. And then we'll dig into it, right? And like that, from the outside, it probably looks like a war, but both of us are super excited to find out why there's that difference of opinion and work that process to the point where we figure something out. And it's, probably more than half the time it's me learning something that I didn't know, right? And like one of the things I personally carry into everything that we do is strong opinions weakly held. Like I'm dead sure about something, but if you prove me wrong, I'll flip instantaneously, right? Like that. And to me, like I don't understand how anyone else could be any other way. I actually want to be wrong. I want you to prove me wrong.
And kind of how we do.
right? People do that very often, and that is genuinely exciting to me, because that means that we get to improve really quickly, and so that's pretty fun. But yeah, I mean, that process, especially like the teams, we still have like 10, 11 people on the team or whatever, and we're everything that can be changed right now is kind of changing, and we're mapping this to our collective values in a way that I'm super excited about. But that's not an easy thing to do, right? And then we're opening it up to the community, and of course some of the people in the community think that we should just turn this into a communist state. We won't. Where they get to own lots of stuff and make lots of money, and the team can just work for free, which is really amazing. Anyway, I shouldn't bring that up anymore.
No, but it's kind of my fault, because I worked for free for years, and there's a whole other story that's not even.
Oh, this is your fault. This is a whole other ball of monkeys.
Yeah, there's a whole other ball of monkeys, but we'll come back. I think so. Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, actually, to be honest, like, I probably disagree with you almost the most. Like, and like, we disagree about a lot of things, right? But like, we almost never fight. Like, we never.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
I agree. No, that's just not how we roll.
Oh, you pulled it up. Okay, I was going to do that too. Sweet. Okay, yeah, great. So what I try to do is, like, I try to highlight, one a day. Although recently, like I said, I have a 1-month-old, so it's really difficult for me to type with one hand. So we're kind of working through that. But yeah, like the most recent one was the Blocky Robots exhibition, which sits under the Rubik Cube. That was fun. Swedish Gold is great, but like, he's also my lovable nemesis, I'll be honest with you, because like, he's like, hey, can you go and like take some photos of this, or can you go and fly around it? And like, seriously, like, it's like an hour and I can't figure out how to get into the goddamn secret room that he's hidden in. I'm just like, dude, will you just freaking tell me where it is? He's like you already found it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you were there, you just saw it. And I'm like, oh man, I thought there was something inside the hand. Then I went up top, and like, I fell down the hole, and then I fell out of the bottom of the server, and I died, and I had to go find my way back. And he's just
tough
laughing.
life, man.
He's
tough life.
like,
yeah, we were on the show, and we found out the way to get into this cube for the Blocky Robots thing is to go through the top, if anyone is wondering about that. That Blocky Robots one, that's such an interesting wax project, period. This is just like, this is 1 week. Mitzi's Marvelous Art Gallery and Horse Drop, like, the horse drop is so much fun, right? You ride a horse up this big track, and of course, seeing a bunch of her art on the way up, and then you jump off right into a puddle, because fuck you, of course we can.
Yeah, like, of course we can. Fun.
Yeah. Ouch.
I mean, for all of you people who really just like, if you really want to piss Corey off, like, if you really don't like Corey, just art him with puns. Like, really.
Yeah.
That's
no. Don't listen to Jimmy, because I want to stay all of your friends.
Right. Those Colossal Trees of Wonder was a good one too. Oh, and shout out to Mitzi too, because like, that was a Genesis one, and she didn't know about horse eggs, so she found horses and brought them all to our land, which was pretty fun. Mella's Colossal Trees of Wonder. Mella built a tree for you.
I did.
I found out that Mella likes trees, and he builds these giant trees with like weird stuff inside of them that is really cool to go and check out. So it's really
cool. All of his builds are really fun. And then classes in session at the Vine Galleria with a study of metaversal monochrome. So basically, like, this is the Vine Gallery, but class has his art there, which is fun. It's sort of an awesome collaboration. I want to like kind of blast through a bunch of these things, because like, it just, to me, running through these things is such a this is sort of the fire, right? Like, this is why no matter what happens, this just cannot be allowed to lose momentum. So Art Vending Machine, we actually had them, Joe, on the show a couple days ago, and they've got my cousin Jen, who works with us, got some of her art up there. They got a bunch of people's art up there. There's that whole thing in Gratitude is really intense. I did an article on the Gratitude Birch Plantation, which is my little attempt at a shop and project. Someday, when I'm not like balls to the wall trying to fix the make sure the whole thing is doing awesome, which is working, by the way, and not because of me, mostly because of the team. I'm really excited to get to the point where I can actually play around with these things again. Actually, build an NFT collection around the gratitude monuments and just stuff that I've been thinking about for a long time. That is more passion project stuff. But anyway, so that's that whole thing. Nifty Blocks HQ, first headquarters in Old World, and I think we're going to see a lot more stuff there pretty soon. The Royal Gallery. I mean, the Royal Gallery. It's the freaking Royal Gallery.
That's definitely an article to read. Well, Nifty Box one was kind of cool too. There's some cool images in there, but the Royal Gallery one is definitely one that you want to read because this is a guy who is an artist, but he didn't really know anything about Minecraft. He'd never played it before, and he just figured out his whole new style that I didn't even know. We actually, for one of the footers, we actually used one of his builds because he just throws a bunch of blocks together in this weird random way, and it always looks really cool. So
right,
definitely go check that
out. Talk about using the palette from the creative maps in such an amazing way, right? Because of course in creative worlds you can use whatever kind of block you want. All right, so Silverized Coliseum and Pantheon. I mean those freaking Greeks, man. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, that one was really, really awesome too. That was a contracted build that they did, and I think it's really well done. There's some really cool details in there, and we'll probably do a PvP in there for sure, I would imagine. And the cool thing about that one actually was he was thinking about flipping the land when he got it, because he got it in the estate sale. But then it was a bigger one than he thought. He's like, oh man, I got to do something with this.
Wait, that's in Gratitude?
Yeah, that's in Gratitude.
Oh fuck. Okay.
Yeah, it was really good.
That's crazy. I know we've done this on the show a bunch of times, but through the tunnel with the Emtiber. And again, you can get this on the uplift.world website, or you can go to where we hide all the alpha.com, which was a joke that I did on the show, and then I bought the URL because I think I'm funny. That whole and a few people are doing this now, and I love all of them. You go, you can actually go to the bottom of the Uplifters Tower, take the portal over to the tunnel display, and you get into the cube they have set up for it. And these cubes with images on all the outer walls, it's such an immersive experience. I cannot get enough of them. I'm a huge fan. So we did an article on Nefty's updates. So I love those.
Actually, that's just their article. We just wanted to shout them out. So we threw a few of their articles together, and it was all up there. Just so people.
That's cool. I like it. I mean, I love helping those guys. Blades and South.
That's NFT. This one. That's NFG. NFG Nick, I believe. He's done a bunch of different things. It's a really cool house, actually. It's probably one of the coolest houses you've ever seen.
It's just really well done.
Too, I mean, it's really good. I think it's a creative build as well. Yeah, the Uplifters Tower and Tunnel of Gratitude building. That's a great one. Definitely check that out. Now, Yagi, who is probably one of the early videographers of Uplift World. He's been doing tons of spots for a bunch of different projects all over. So promotional. Go in and have a look at his work. It's really well done.
Cool. Luminaya. I haven't been to Luminaya. I hung out there. Actually, I remember hanging out there when they first got to that spot, and then I think they contracted EOS USA and his team to build this thing out. But I haven't been there since.
Well, actually, so EOS USA helped, but yeah, he did a lot of build himself. Cool. Yeah, so
that's awesome. So yeah, we got 13 pages of this. I mean, come on now.
And they're all. I mean, some of them are ones that I found, but other ones are ones that people have contacted me and asked me. So if you're out there and you have a cool idea for a plot, get in touch, because I try to do one every day, which means I do about usually 5 or 6 a week is what I can usually get done recently. But I'd like to do more. And I mean, there's a lot of ways that we can do this. So, usually I go in and take pictures, but if you got some high quality pictures and captions that you want to look up and send, we want to highlight as many of these as we can, like as possible, right? Because our one, what is it? Like our one inability really is the Java thing, right? So the more that we can highlight this, because I think a lot of people, they don't really know what Minecraft is, and if they see it, they're like, oh, this isn't for me. I'm going to use another metaverse, right? Like I'm going to use Somnium Space, or I'm going to use something that like is built for artists.
Yeah.
Because I'm an artist. But when you see what some of these artists have done, or what some of these builders have done, or what some of these people have done, right? And there's a lot of Minecrafters out there too that would just love to have some rewards for building what they can build and contributing to that. So putting these articles together is kind of a minimal glance. There's some pretty cool images in there, but like and captions and stories, but it's a minimal glance at what's possible. And the more that we can highlight this, this is almost like the 2D version of it, because this goes out there into the world, and people might get interested. People will come and they might check things out. And I'm hoping when we get to that point of social logins, where people don't actually have to be whitelisted, that or we get to the point of more events that people will want to come in. All of these things will benefit us all, really. Like if we're in there, the more traffic we get, the more views we get, the more people we get, the more searches we get, the better off this whole space is going to be, right? Like think about it, in terms of proper real estate, really, because that's what the metaverse is, right? Like if you're happen to be trackside where there's no tracks, and then all of a sudden they build the tracks right by your house, and the station's right there, like your property value is going to go up, right? So we're all in this really tiny metaverse place, right? And if there starts getting tracks laid all around it from all of these other blockchains and all of these other people and all of these other artists and all of these other gamers, right? Like the property value of the whole flipping thing is going to go up, right? I mean, it's a weird analogy, but my friend.
No, it's true. Hey, for some reason I didn't see, or I didn't remember that we put the white paper up in here. I love that, because for those of you that don't know, the DAO helper NFT line that we put up, we still actually need to start releasing some of the build NFTs for the people that donated video of some of the builds they had. I think Gary made them all, but like we're using their stuff or what have you. Everything in that collection is actually going to be whitelisted to be stakeable on the Wombat Dungeon Master game, which is real cool. I mean, that whole Wombat team, I'm such a huge fan of Adrian. I know I told this story before, but the first time meeting him, all I had ever done is like created the goofy Shipple token over on EOS, right? We did it as a joke. It sort of became less of a joke, which is kind of fun. But yeah, like the Lynx wallet kind of went down, kind of ancient history now, I suppose. But I remember going into the Wombat wallet and saying, hey, can we get our token listed on on your platform, on the Wombat wallet? He's like, yeah, no problem. And like, just like it was helpful, just got us all set up. And I've been a diehard Wombat fan ever since we've had him on the show a bunch of times. It's just like really cool to be able to collaborate with people like Adrian in the space.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't really meet Adrian until we had this channel, but I had actually known his partner for a really long time.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Collaborated and talked and stuff, and so when I wanted to bring him on this show for us, he said, "Oh, well, actually, Adrian would be a better person to bring on," which is really interesting. Yeah, I used to collaborate with a lot of people on another project that I used to work for. I used to do a lot of writing in my not so free time. On my free time, I guess. But yeah, it's kind of exciting. That's actually one of my favorite. The Hollows Peak is really cool, and the Wandums fight mobs here. It was really interesting as well.
Yeah, fight mobs here.
It's like way in the bottom corner, and I died hundreds of times.
Actually, I don't think I've been to Hollow's Peak before.
Yeah, Hollow's Peak is I think it's in one of the Our Planet servers. I can't remember.
Oh, yeah?
Swineland or Borealis, but yeah, it's really again. I think that was an NFG.
That's awesome.
Build.
Bitcoin babes.
Yeah, again, like there are some other project stuff on here from like some of our friends. So if you guys have,
I love those. I think we should. Yeah, I think we should do that a lot.
Definitely.
Yeah. I remember when Anders first started building out over there, and he basically just dug down, and like within like 48 hours, underneath that had become like this crazy, tunnel. Like he just had clearly spent far too much time on it.
He's a really great guy and he's awesome, but I do definitely not want to be his wife because like he changed out every single block so that it was all uniform across the whole piece.
Yeah, I mean that's like attention to detail is probably just a shocking understatement when it comes to to what Anders is capable of. Yep. Anyway, so I gotta start doing some stuff. I managed to kick some emails back and forth on some updates, getting this deal done. So I need to go focus on that. But Jimmy, thanks for doing the show with me, dude. Just in general, it's awesome.
I mean, yeah, I would agree. It's weird, like we've been doing this for a while, and we haven't really, even began. Like we're just kind of two dudes to hang out. I'm kind of excited for the future of this. So
yeah, even just the show, like the whole idea that we get to make an NFT line, and like Austin's blown my shit up, as far as for real doing like a real estate DAO. Because kind of why wouldn't we do it?
Right.
In a way. We're testing out all these new tools. I think it's really important for us to dig in and do work. For sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because it's like almost all of these articles that I write about for for the metaverse, they're going to be like, I'm going to get to go and write, articles for real world real estate. Like it's kind of like, target practice. It'll be good. But yeah, like, I mean, likewise, right? Like, I mean, a lot of people don't know this, but like Corey and I, we started this just because we got along really well together. And it's like, it kind of went from an EOSIO show to supporting artists and people and I actually think if nothing else was a thing, we would just do this, right? Like
yep.
The amount of shows that Corey does on his own, the amount of shows that I do on my own. So like for all of you guys who are out there liking, sharing this out, listening, I think it's sometime, it's been a little bit heavy around here for the last few weeks, but I think at some time we will get back to these kind of like relaxed based shows where we can do contests and give out some NFTs and do some really cool stuff because we've got a bit of a stockpile that we need to deal with. But yeah, right. Definitely. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Good talk. Chop it, chop.